Firewing. I've been to the far reaches of our galaxy. I've witnessed the birth of stars and black holes. I've seen the inner workings of neutrino and understand the complex physiology of the human brain. Yet my thirst for knowledge is still not quenched. No matter how many facts I know or how many places I've been, there's always the feeling that there is a greater knowledge out there, a greater truth that explains and encompasses all. My journey for truth, which has led me many places, has now taken me 1,000 light years from my home to the small planet of Firewing. From a distance, there doesn't seem to be anything unusual about the warm, water-colored planet. But up close, it is a world of contradictions, a world of floating mountains and boiling ice. Many scientists have studied the planet, trying to explain these incongruities, but none have been successful in their attempts. The reason for this is that until now, we simply didn't have the technology to safely land on Firewing. We didn't have vehicles that were sturdy enough. But now that we do, we don't have to be content with simply looking in from outside in fear. My first impression of Firewing was that it was a dull, ordinary planet. Its surface was covered with a green, grass-like substance, not much else. I studied the planet for days without uncovering anything. I was annoyed and about to give up. But one morning I woke up and everything was different. The green slopes had transformed overnight into a sea of purple. I felt an energy in the air, and anxious to discover this planet's secrets, I hurriedly gathered my notepad and started walking. But as usual, I walked all day, trudging miles across the rolling hills, only to find nothing. No animal tracks, no animals. Nothing until I came back to my ship to find my tent being carried off by a large elephant-like beast. I felt fear in my gut, but the animal was 10 times my size, and everything inside me told me not to play with this planet's mysteries, but I was curious. My mind told me to follow the elephant and find my answers. I ran after the beast, catching up to it very quickly. It made a strange noise like a laugh as I jogged with it, and I couldn't help but think it was laughing at me. I laughed too, only to turn around and be thrust into a deep ravine by the powerful beast. Falling into the pit, I tumbled past tongues and tentacles, fangs and eyes. I landed on a large hand and became surrounded by dark creatures. I saw death staring into me, and then I passed out. Somehow I survived. I woke up, but where I woke to I wasn't sure. I began walking even though I was lost. I just walked. I was sure I would never see my home again. I was certain I was going to die. I would have, but as fate had it, just as I was taking my last breaths, a kindly old man named Orr found me, dehydrated and delusional. He took me to his home. Orr cared for me, gave me food and water, and let me rest on his cot while he slept on the floor. He sat by me and told me stories to speed my recovery, and I think it helped, for I began to feel better in mere days. When I was well enough, Orr showed me the way back to my ship. I thanked him and bid him good luck. He bid me the same. I started to board my ship, but hesitated, and when Orr had disappeared, I began for the desert once more to find my answers. I still wasn't sure where I was headed, but I knew there was something out there. On my third day in the desert, I saw a vision of a great city in the desert, and though the mirage pulled away from me, I kept walking, knowing I was getting closer. One night, as I slept beneath the stars, I had a strange dream. I dreamt I was watching the city crumble. I saw myself, and I was great and powerful and wise. To my surprise, when I woke up, I found that the city was indeed real, and I sat in its streets. The city was grand. The roads were straight and narrow and clean. The buildings were majestic and proud and so tall I couldn't see the tops of them. This was a great city, a city of knowledge and mysterious power. But though it was great, it was oddly empty. I was patient and sure the city would come back to life if I gave it time. So I became invisible and found a seat in a corner of a temple and just waited. And my wait was not in vain, for just as the sun began to set, the city came alive. I saw monks praying, children playing, women chatting, and old men watching. It was a glorious sight to behold, but I stood out and was soon discovered, and the people crowded around me curiously and in awe. The people naively led me through their city. I asked to see their leader. the man who held all of this up and the one who they looked up to. They thought that was a fine idea and innocently took me to see him, a man who they all surely admired. You'll understand my shock when they took me to their leader, and it was Orr, the same man who helped me earlier, that same pacifist who seemed so meek and fragile, was actually the loving overseer of this great and mysterious land. Orr showed me his beautiful garden and grand castle. He treated me as a guest in his palace and honored me in the most magnificent feast I have ever had. As I stayed in Orr's majestic city, I marveled at its wisdom and order, and soon it became apparent that the city held the knowledge and power I was looking for, and that I knew I could make it better. Since Orr was such a gracious and wise man, I was deeply saddened by having to kill him, but I knew that was the only way the people would ever let me be their leader. Taking Orr's place was the only way I would ever gain the power I truly needed. For such a powerful man, Orr died quite easily. After Orr's funeral, I took his throne by force and took command of the mysterious land of Firewing. And just like in my dreams, the people worshipped me, and I became great and powerful and wise.